Welcome back to Seven's rolling coverage of the flood emergency in Queensland. And we're looking at pictures from the Lockyer Valley, and it's in Laidley, an area that was heavily affected in 2011 in that major flood, that dreadful wall of water that went through the area. So we're looking at pictures there now from the 7 News helicopter of the latest flooding levels through the Lockyer Valley.
And these are the first pictures, I think, that we've got out of Laidley, Bill, so far. I know the mayor of the area this morning was very concerned that they had no aerial support in this area. They just didn't know who was on a roof or who was stuck in their homes or what the situation was. Communications were down. I understand about 110 people were in evacuation centres in Laidley earlier this morning. Of course, the great news, or good news for the people of Laidley, is that the water is not flowing anywhere near as swift as it was in 2011. So clearly there's a lot of flooding taking place there, but that wall of water that came through that area, it's just not the same this time around. So that's one blessing, I suppose, as opposed to in the 2011 floods.
We can still see there's significant inundation there, and this is west of Brisbane, of course, the Lockyer Valley, and there was intense and very heavy overnight rain around Laidley, and of course flows into the Bremer River and the Lockyer Creek catchments that would continue on down and cause some problems down in Brisbane. But we can see one of the residents out there. It just gives us an indication of the depth of the water flowing through there at the moment, and as you mentioned, Sharon, nowhere near the ferocity of flow that we did see last year, which of course caught so many people by surprise. They were unaware during the night. So that is one good thing, that it's not that fast, and they certainly have plenty of time and plenty of warning to be able to get out to evacuation centres in that Lockyer Valley area.
There was also a tweet this morning from the Deputy Prime Minister saying 2 helicopters were on their way to the Laidley area as well. So whether that was to help with any potential rescues or not, I'm not sure, but there were definitely 2 Black Hawk helicopters on their way to that area, and clearly residents there have been badly affected by this flooding event. It's quite extreme, isn't it, Bill, the actual level of flooding there? It's a vast area that's covered in that area.
And as we know, there's still, in the days ahead, there's higher levels possibly to come here, so it's only going to get a little bit worse. So quite significant there in some of the sections we are seeing. And you can only imagine the feeling from the people that live there and have lived through what they lived through in 2011. They would be so anxious. And it's not fair in many ways, but it's not fair for a lot of people that are going through their second and possibly their third flood in 2 years. It's just it's hard to believe that it's all happening again. As we keep cautioning, though, not on the same scale as 2011.
Of course, the Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, has offered the federal government support to Queenslanders affected by these floods. She expressed her sympathies over the situation that we're actually facing here at the moment. And, of course, disaster relief, people will obviously be able to access disaster relief fairly soon because, as we discovered in the 2011 floods, people need help instantly. So those sort of arrangements are taking place at the moment.
Look, there would be people there that hadn't bounced back from 2011 yet, and may never bounce back and be the same. I'm sure they won't be. So look at the water running through there around that building in one of the main streets of Laidley. There's quite a flow going through there, but and significant inundation. So
and the other problem, of course, Bill, too, is a lot of these people aren't insured. Some couldn't get insurance again. They just simply couldn't afford to get the insurance. So the Insurance Council, I think, has called it a catastrophic event, so which means they can get a team of people together to try to assess the situation. But the insurance issue is going to be major again for the state of Queensland. How the state is going to afford this disaster, which is on such a grand scale, is unfathomable.
Hello.
And of course there would be insurance cases from the last time that still aren't resolved. And there were many, many questions asked by people. Let's go to the SES and get an update. New South Wales is now on the path of the storm as the weather system, of course, does move south. Flood warnings are in place for northern rivers, and 2,000 people are isolated near Bellingen. Joining us now is New South Wales SES Commissioner Murray Keir. Good afternoon, Commissioner. We've seen the damage caused by this intense low in Queensland. How rapidly is it heading down to the New South Wales coast?
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Bill. It's actually moving quite slowly. We thought it might speed up after it crossed the Queensland border, but it's now going to move so slowly that it's not expected to be into the south coast of New South Wales until lunchtime tomorrow. So very slow moving, dropping a lot of rain, up to 300 mils expected in some areas today. We've had up to 550 mils since 9 o'clock yesterday morning. in some areas, as well as the destructive winds, 100 k's up to 140 k's an hour on top of a 7-metre swell from the sea. So all those things coming together to mean a very busy day here in New South Wales.
What are the main areas of concern for you?
We're really all the river systems between the Queensland border down to our Hunter area. So about 7 river systems either in moderate to major flood. But our concern is with the heavy falls is the flash flooding in creeks, in drains and those sort of things. And we've already done 13 flood rescues just at the start of this event, as I said, another 24 hours to go. And we're trying to get people to either delay their travel or, if they are, to be very cautious around floodwater and in fact to never drive through floodwater. Most of those rescues have been cars trapped in floodwater.
Does it continue to amaze you? I was going to ask you that question. Are people heeding the warnings? Clearly some aren't.
Well, most are, but you know, those flood rescues are unfortunately from people trying to continue their journey. I understand people coming home from holidays or travelling in the local area always want to get to their destination, but it's really not worth risking your life. As we've seen in Queensland, as we've seen here now, putting emergency services and volunteers at risk in having to go into those waters and rescue these people. So if we could keep it capped at that amount, I'd be very, very happy as we continue to get that message out for never to drive or ride or walk through any floodwater.
How well prepared are you for this and what have you got in place?
Yeah, well prepared. The flood plans in each of the local areas are in place. The volunteers of the New South Wales SCS, we've got over 10,000 here in New South Wales, together with New South Wales Ambulance, New South Wales Police, Fire Rescue New South Wales, the Rural Fire Service here. We're all coming together on the coast of New South Wales as this low pressure system moves very slowly and making its way towards the metropolitan areas of Sydney and beyond.
All right, so you could be expecting a few days of this if the system is moving slowly then?
Yeah, by lunchtime tomorrow we're expecting it to move off the coast and start to make its way towards New Zealand. But that low pressure system, that high pressure system that's been over the Tasman has been keeping it here, keeping it in Queensland slowly and now moving down New South Wales. So the rain should start to ease through tomorrow.
All right, thanks for your time. Murray Keir from the New South Wales SCS. We wish you all the best. Appreciate your time. And I think we're going to head out and thank you, Murray. We're going to head out and try and have a look at some more pictures of Lockyer Valley and Laidley if we can.
600 millimetres of rain, Bill, has fallen in that catchment area since yesterday, and some of the creeks are higher. They're actually peaking higher out there than the 2011 flood, and you can see the Laidley Hotel there quite heavily impacted by this flood. The good news, though, that water is not flowing anywhere as swiftly as it was last time. There's a few people up there at the Laidley Hotel. Doesn't seem to be bothering them too much, the situation. They've got a beer in hand.
Any excuse for a quiet one?
Absolutely, but you'd be needing a beer on a day like today, wouldn't you, or something a little bit stronger?
I think they're trapped. They may be having more than just the one, the people who are in the Laidley Hotel at the moment. But
And talking of hotels, at the Breakfast Creek Hotel at Albion in Brisbane, that's a very famous pub here in Brisbane, and apparently they're still serving beers there as well, even though the waters are rising. And it's an historic hotel, the Brecky Creek, and we've all had a few steaks there, haven't we, in our time? And it's very sad to hear that it's facing flooding again, but at least they're not deterred. They're managing to trade on today and lift the spirits of locals.
You have to wonder about these projections, I think, too, Sharon, because this is becoming a common theme that we're hearing from people. We've heard it at Windsor, in the inner city, and we've heard it from out at Laidley, that some of the peaks and some of the levels they're experiencing already are higher than they experienced at times during 2011. So it's going to be very interesting today when we do get a briefing from the Premier and Emergency Management Queensland as to the latest revisions on the models, because I think it's changing a little bit, and I'm not an expert, but I think it is changing.
Yes, definitely. Well, we were told yesterday no flooding in the CBD of Brisbane. This morning we saw that flooding in Eagle Street Pier. So clearly conditions are changing minute by minute, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you an update fairly soon. It's time now for a commercial break. Join us soon.